Ladies and gentlemen, there is something incredibly powerful about a single minute, isn't there? It may seem small, almost insignificant when you look at it in isolation, but when you look at it as part of a bigger picture, it holds immense potential. 1 minute each day may feel like just a brief moment in time, but those 60 seconds can add up, change your life, and impact your future. Now, imagine if you dedicated just 60 minutes of your day to something meaningful. It doesn't have to be an extravagant task or something huge, just 1 hour, each day, spent with purpose. The beauty of this is that anyone can spare 1 hour. You don't need extraordinary skills or resources. All you need is determination and consistency. What if I told you that 60 minutes every single day could unlock doors to a better version of yourself? When you think about it, 60 minutes doesn't seem like a lot of time, right? It's just 1 hour out of your entire day, and yet it's often the hardest hour to dedicate. Life pulls us in so many different directions, and it feels like there is always something demanding our attention. But let's take a moment to consider just how powerful this 1 hour can be. What if I told you that the key to unlocking your true potential lies in that hour? That simple 60 minutes, when used intentionally, has the power to change the trajectory of your life. Think about it. Every day you get 440 minutes. Why not take just 1 hour, set it aside, and make it yours? 1 hour of focus, of dedication, can be the foundation for growth, success, and transformation. Here's the thing, we often think we need hours, even days, to achieve something meaningful. But in reality, it's those small, consistent actions that make the biggest difference. If you commit to spending just 1 hour a day on something you care about, something that challenges you, something that helps you grow, it will pay off in the long run. The key is consistency. The magic happens when you show up every day for that 1 hour. Over time, you begin to see change. At first, it may seem like nothing's happening, but as you continue, those 60 minutes compound, and before you know it, you have made significant progress. Whether it's in learning a new skill, improving your physical health, or simply developing a new habit, every 60 minutes counts. Every minute you spend doing something that moves you closer to your goals is an investment in your future. The best part, you don't need to be perfect. It's not about getting everything right every day. It's about showing up, putting in the effort, and trusting that those small steps will lead to big results. It's easy to get discouraged when you don't see immediate results, but remember, real change takes time. That's why the 60-minute rule is so powerful. It teaches you patience, discipline, and perseverance. It allows you to see progress in a way that doesn't overwhelm you. This 60-minute habit doesn't need to be reserved for specific tasks or goals either. It's adaptable. Some days it might be about learning something new. Other days it could be working on your physical health, taking care of your mental well-being, or reflecting on your personal growth. Whatever it is, that hour belongs to you. It's a time for you to invest in yourself with no distractions or excuses. The more consistently you practice this, the more you'll see how much you've changed. It's the ripple effect. That hour sets the stage for everything else. Once you begin, you will start to notice how it influences your day. You'll feel more productive, more focused, and more driven. The benefits may not be immediately visible, but trust me, they're happening beneath the surface. By the time a month has passed, you'll be amazed at how far you've come, simply by committing to 1 hour a day. That hour is the key to unlocking your potential. It's not just about what you can accomplish in that time, but about what it teaches you: discipline, focus, and the power of consistency. Every 60 minutes you dedicate to your growth is an investment in your future self. So take that time, embrace it, and watch how it transforms you 1 minute at a time. When we talk about big changes or achieving monumental goals, It's easy to get overwhelmed by the sheer size of the task at hand. We often see a goal and think to ourselves, "That's too much. I'll never be able to do that." But the truth is, big changes don't happen overnight. They happen in small, manageable steps, and it's these small steps, done consistently over time, that lead to real, lasting change. This is where the power of taking small steps becomes crucial. A small step, like dedicating just 60 minutes a day to something important, may seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things. But when you commit to it every day, it starts to add up in ways you can't even imagine. Over time, the impact of these small efforts will compound and build on each other, leading to big results. Let's look at this from another perspective. If you want to get fitter, for example, the idea of going from being sedentary to being fit and healthy can seem like an impossible journey. You might look at people who are already fit and think, "I could never do that." But all those fit people didn't wake up one day with a perfect body. They started with small steps. They might have walked for 30 minutes a day or spent 15 minutes stretching. At the time, it might not have seemed like much, but those small steps added up over time, and before they knew it, they had made incredible progress. The same goes for learning a new skill, whether it's a language, a musical instrument, or even a professional skill. You're not going to become fluent in a language overnight, nor will you be able to play an instrument like a pro after a few practice sessions. It's those small, consistent actions, studying for just an hour a day, or practicing for 30 minutes each evening, that lead to real mastery. And that's the beauty of it. It's not about the huge leaps you make in a single moment. It's about the daily, incremental steps that slowly but surely move you toward your goal. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that everything has to happen quickly or in big bursts of effort. But when we take a step back, we realize that the real transformation happens when we break things down into small, bite-sized pieces. The moment we commit to those pieces, those small daily actions, is when change becomes not only possible but inevitable. The reason why small steps work so well is because they're less intimidating. If we looked at a goal like learning a new language or getting in shape as one massive, overwhelming task, we'd likely give up before we even started. But when we break it down into smaller, daily tasks, the journey becomes much more manageable. We start to see the progress we're making, even if it's just a little bit each day. And that progress motivates us to keep going. Small wins lead to bigger wins, and as you begin to see those wins accumulate, you start to feel more confident in your ability to achieve your goals. In fact, it's often the small steps that lead to the biggest breakthroughs. These are the moments where you realize that the effort you've been putting in day after day is finally paying off. It's the moment when you look back and see how far you've come, even though it didn't feel like much in the beginning. That's the beauty of small steps. They lead to huge change, one small action at a time. So let go of the idea that you need to make huge leaps or accomplish everything in one go. Instead, focus on the small steps you can take every day. Whether it's setting aside 60 minutes a day to work on a new skill or dedicating an hour to improving your physical health, those small, consistent actions will add up. And before you know it, you'll be further along than you ever imagined. The key is consistency. Stay committed to the process and trust that each small step you take is bringing you closer to the bigger change you desire. It's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of perfection. We live in a world that celebrates success, often showing only the polished and refined final results. Whether it's in social media, career achievements, or personal milestones, we are constantly bombarded with images of perfection. This can be incredibly discouraging because, as we compare ourselves to these idealized versions of success, we begin to feel like we are falling short. We think that if we can't do something perfectly, then it's not worth doing at all. However, the truth is that the pursuit of perfection can actually hold us back from making any progress at all. Perfectionism often stems from a fear of failure or rejection. We want to ensure that everything we do is flawless because we are afraid of making mistakes. We worry that if we don't get things right the first time, we won't be good enough, but this fear of imperfection is counterproductive. It prevents us from taking action because we are too focused on the end result rather than the process. It keeps us in a state of inaction, paralyzed by the thought that anything less than perfect isn't worth attempting. The reality is that no one is perfect. Every successful person has had to overcome obstacles, make mistakes, and learn from their failures. In fact, failure is often the greatest teacher. It provides us with the lessons we need to grow and improve. When we make mistakes, we have the opportunity to reflect, adjust, and do better next time. If we constantly aim for perfection, we miss these valuable opportunities for growth. We become too fixated on avoiding mistakes rather than embracing them as part of the learning process. Instead of striving for perfection, we should focus on progress. Progress is about making continuous improvements, no matter how small. It's about recognizing that every step, even the imperfect ones, brings us closer to where we want to be. Rather than setting ourselves up for failure by trying to achieve an unattainable standard, we can set realistic goals that allow us to move forward incrementally. This approach helps us build momentum and stay motivated. Every time we take a small step, we make progress, and that progress adds up over time. This shift in mindset can be incredibly freeing. When we let go of the need to be perfect, we free ourselves to take action without fear of failure. We stop waiting for the perfect moment to start, and instead begin right where we are. The key is to take that first step, no matter how messy or imperfect it may seem. Once we start, we can adjust along the way. The more we do, the more we learn, and the better we become. Perfectionism also leads to unnecessary stress. When we set unrealistic expectations for ourselves, we put a tremendous amount of pressure on our shoulders. This pressure can drain our energy and motivation, making it harder to get anything done. It can also make us feel like we're never good enough, no matter how much we accomplish. This constant striving for an ideal that we can never fully reach is not only exhausting but also demoralizing. By shifting our focus from perfection to progress, we reduce that stress and give ourselves permission to be imperfect, which is a much healthier way to approach growth. Moreover, progress allows for creativity and experimentation. When we let go of the need for everything to be perfect, we give ourselves the freedom to try new things, to take risks, and to make mistakes without the fear of failure holding us back. We begin to see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to our success. This mindset encourages innovation and helps us develop new skills and ideas that we may not have discovered if we had been too focused on perfection. In fact, embracing imperfection often leads to greater results in the long run. The people who are successful are not the ones who are perfect, but those who are willing to try, fail, learn, and keep going. They understand that perfection is an illusion, and that the real power lies in the ability to persevere and make progress, no matter how small. The more we focus on progress, the more we open ourselves to learning and growing, and that, in turn, leads to far greater success than the pursuit of perfection ever could. By shifting our focus from perfection to progress, we allow ourselves to take consistent, imperfect action that moves us closer to our goals. We no longer wait for the perfect moment or the perfect circumstances. Instead, we begin right where we are, doing what we can and making progress each day. Over time, these small steps add up, and before we know it, we've achieved more than we ever imagined. In the end, it's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent, making progress, and learning from every experience along the way. Learning something new can feel like a daunting task. When we set out to master a skill, it often seems overwhelming. Whether it's learning a language, playing an instrument, or gaining professional knowledge, the beginning stages are filled with uncertainty. We might feel discouraged, unsure of our ability, and frustrated by the slow progress. However, it's important to understand that every expert was once a beginner. The key to mastering anything is the willingness to start small, show up consistently, and keep learning along the way. One of the most powerful tools you can use when learning something new is the ability to break it down into smaller, manageable chunks. When we look at a new task in its entirety, it often feels too big to tackle. For example, learning a language might seem impossible if you think about the entire vocabulary and grammar you need to learn. But if you break it down into smaller pieces, such as learning 5 new words a day or focusing on mastering a specific tense, the task becomes much more achievable. Each small success, no matter how minor it seems, builds upon the next and gradually takes you closer to your goal. Another crucial part of the learning process is consistency. One of the reasons many people struggle to master a new skill is that they start with great enthusiasm but quickly lose momentum. They might dedicate hours in the beginning, but as time passes, the effort becomes less frequent and eventually fades. The key to sustained progress is showing up consistently, even if it's just for a short period each day. For instance, dedicating just 60 minutes a day to learning something new can add up to significant progress over time. The important part is not the quantity of time, but the consistency with which you approach your learning. Consistency also helps in building a habit. Learning becomes much easier when it's incorporated into your daily routine. If you practice every day, even if it's for a brief period, your brain starts to adapt to the new skill. Over time, it becomes part of your routine, and the effort required to learn begins to feel natural. Consistent effort makes the process feel less like a chore and more like an integrated part of your day life. Another factor that plays a huge role in mastering new skills is patience. Learning takes time, and progress is often slow in the beginning. It's easy to get frustrated when we don't see immediate results, but it's important to remember that mastery doesn't happen overnight. Think about a musician learning to play an instrument. In the beginning, the notes are often out of tune, the rhythm is off, and it feels like nothing is coming together. But as time goes on, the mistakes become fewer, the progress becomes more noticeable, and eventually the music flows beautifully. Learning is a gradual process that requires patience and the willingness to trust the journey. Mistakes are an inevitable part of learning. It's easy to see failure as something negative, but in reality, it is an essential component of the learning process. Mistakes provide valuable feedback. They show us where we need to improve and help us adjust our approach. The fear of making mistakes often holds people back from starting at all. However, it's crucial to embrace mistakes as opportunities for growth. Every time you make a mistake, you get one step closer to understanding the skill at a deeper level. While consistency, patience, and embracing mistakes are essential, it's also important to stay curious and open to new information. Learning is not a linear process, it's a journey of discovery. If you approach learning with an open mind, you'll find yourself constantly exploring new ways to improve. Whether it's through books, tutorials, or learning from others, staying curious helps you to keep growing. Don't be afraid to ask questions or seek help when needed. Sometimes, the insights from others can make a significant difference in your learning process. It's important to celebrate your progress, no matter how small it seems. Often, we focus so much on the end goal that we forget to recognize the steps we've already taken. Celebrating small victories along the way gives us the motivation to keep going, whether it's learning a new phrase in a language or finally getting a difficult concept in a subject. Take time to acknowledge your achievements. Recognizing your progress boosts your confidence and reminds you that you are capable of learning and growing every day. Ultimately, the journey of learning is a process of continuous improvement. It's not about being perfect or mastering everything quickly, but about making steady progress. By showing up consistently, breaking down the task into smaller pieces, and embracing mistakes along the way, you can master any skill you set your mind to. Remember that learning is a lifelong journey. It's not a destination, but a continuous path of growth, curiosity, and self-improvement. With patience, consistency, and a positive attitude, anything is possible. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get distracted by short-term pleasures. With so many instant gratifications at our fingertips, from social media to fast food to endless entertainment options, it's tempting to chase after these quick bursts of pleasure. However, these pleasures often come at the expense of our long-term goals. In order to achieve meaningful success, it's important to shift our focus from short-term rewards to long-term progress. One of the biggest challenges we face when striving for long-term goals is the pull of instant gratification. It's hard to resist the temptation to check our phones every few minutes, scroll through social media, or indulge in distractions that offer an immediate sense of pleasure. These activities provide quick dopamine hits, which can feel rewarding in the moment. But in the long run, they take us away from the work that truly matters, the work that requires focus, dedication, and patience. The danger of short-term gratification is that it tricks us into believing that the present moment is all that matters. We get caught up in the here and now, losing sight of the bigger picture. When we constantly chase after immediate rewards, we ignore the long-term investments that will lead to lasting fulfillment and success. It's easy to get comfortable in the moment, but true growth and progress happen when we can delay those short-term desires in favor of something more meaningful down the line. In order to shift our focus from short-term pleasures to long-term goals, it's essential to cultivate self-discipline. Self-discipline is the ability to resist immediate temptations and make decisions that align with our long-term aspirations. It's about understanding that the effort we put in today may not pay off right away, but it will lead to greater rewards down the road. Developing self-discipline requires practice, and it's not always easy, but over time it becomes a habit that serves us well in every area of our lives. One of the ways we can strengthen our self-discipline is by setting clear, specific goals. When we have a clear sense of what we want to achieve in the long run, it becomes easier to resist the distractions that may arise in the short term. Whether it's improving our health, building a career, or learning a new skill, having a strong why behind our actions gives us the motivation we need to keep going. When we know what we're working toward, it becomes easier to stay focused on the bigger picture and resist the pull of instant pleasures that don't contribute to our long-term success. Another important aspect of shifting our focus from short-term gratification to long-term goals is learning to embrace discomfort. Often, the path to achieving something meaningful requires us to step outside our comfort zones and do things that are difficult or unpleasant. It's easy to seek out activities that are enjoyable in the moment, but growth happens when we push ourselves to do things that challenge us. The discomfort we experience in the pursuit of our goals is not something to avoid, but something to embrace because it's an indication that we are growing and moving forward. Delaying gratification also means recognizing the value of patience. In a world that encourages quick fixes and fast results, patience is often undervalued. But the most meaningful achievements in life take time. Whether it's building a business, developing a meaningful relationship, or mastering a skill, the process requires sustained effort over a long period of time. Patience allows us to stay the course, even when the results are not immediate, and it gives us the ability to keep moving forward when things get tough. It's the understanding that good things come to those who wait, but only if they are willing to put in the work. One of the most effective ways to shift our focus toward long-term goals is by creating a structured plan. Having a clear roadmap for how we want to reach our goals makes it easier to stay focused and disciplined. When we break down our larger goals into smaller, actionable steps, it becomes less overwhelming and more manageable. This structure helps us stay on track, even when the urge to indulge in short-term pleasures arises. The more structured our approach, the easier it becomes to make consistent progress, no matter what distractions may come our way. While the road to long-term success is not always easy, it is the most rewarding. The key is to keep our eyes on the bigger picture and remind ourselves that true fulfillment comes from sustained effort and patience. By learning to delay gratification and stay focused on our long-term goals, we set ourselves up for a life of lasting success and fulfillment. The journey may not always be easy, but the rewards are worth it. In the end, it's the ability to stay disciplined, to embrace discomfort, and to trust the process that leads to the greatest growth and achievement. The path to success is often filled with obstacles and challenges that may seem impossible to overcome. During times of difficulty, it's easy to feel defeated and wonder if the effort is worth it. We question whether we are on the right path or if we should just give up. However, it is crucial to understand that the mindset of progress over perfection is the key to breaking through these challenges and achieving our goals. Instead of aiming for flawless results, we should focus on continuous improvement, embracing every step of the journey and learning from our experiences. The idea of perfection is often rooted in unrealistic expectations. We may think that success can only come if we do everything perfectly, but this mindset is more limiting than liberating. Perfectionism can paralyze us, preventing us from taking the first step or making any progress at all. We fear that anything less than perfect results will lead to failure or judgment. However, this fear can keep us stuck, and the longer we hold on to it, the harder it becomes to move forward. On the other hand, focusing on progress instead of perfection allows us to embrace our mistakes and learn from them. Every misstep or failure is an opportunity to grow and improve. When we shift our mindset from seeking perfection to valuing progress, we create space for growth. We realize that making mistakes doesn't define our abilities. Instead, they provide us with valuable lessons that shape our path to success. Progress doesn't happen in giant leaps. It occurs in small, consistent steps. These small steps may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, they add up and contribute to meaningful change. The key is to stay focused on the process rather than obsessing over the end result. For example, when learning a new skill, it's easy to become frustrated if we don't see immediate results. But the truth is, mastery takes time, and the progress we make each day brings us closer to our goal, even if it's not immediately visible. One of the most powerful aspects of focusing on progress is that it helps us build resilience. Life is full of setbacks, and success is rarely a straight line. There will be times when we face failure, disappointment, or self-doubt. However, by focusing on progress rather than perfection, we develop the mental toughness to keep going despite these setbacks. Each challenge becomes a stepping stone that brings us closer to where we want to be. Instead of seeing failure as a reason to give up, we begin to view it as part of the process. Every time we pick ourselves back up and keep moving forward, we strengthen our resilience and grow more capable of overcoming obstacles. Embracing progress over perfection also allows us to celebrate our achievements, no matter how small they may seem. When we focus solely on perfection, we often overlook the milestones we achieve along the way. We may reach a goal, but because it wasn't perfect or because we didn't meet every expectation, we fail to recognize our success. By focusing on progress, we can acknowledge and celebrate each step forward, which in turn fuels our motivation to keep going. These celebrations, no matter how small, remind us that we are making progress and that every effort counts. Additionally, the mindset of progress helps us maintain a sense of perspective. It allows us to keep moving forward even when things don't go as planned. We don't get bogged down by the things that didn't go right. Instead, we focus on what we can learn from the situation and how we can improve. By maintaining this positive, growth-oriented mindset, we become more adaptable and open to new ideas and approaches. When we adopt progress over perfection, we also start to let go of comparisons. It's easy to compare ourselves to others, especially in today's world where everyone seems to have it all together. However, comparison is a dangerous game because it leads us to measure our worth against someone else's journey. Everyone's path to success is different, and focusing on progress helps us stay true to our own unique journey. We stop worrying about how others are doing and instead concentrate on our own growth, understanding that success is a personal experience and that each of us is at a different stage. Ultimately, it is the consistent, incremental progress that leads to success. When we let go of the need for perfection, we make space for real growth, and that growth is what propels us forward. By embracing the process, learning from our mistakes, and celebrating our achievements along the way, we not only achieve our goals, but also become more resilient, adaptable, and fulfilled in the journey. Focusing on progress over perfection is not about settling for mediocrity. It's about understanding that success is built on the foundation of continuous improvement and the willingness to move forward no matter the obstacles. In the pursuit of long-term success, it's easy to become fixated on the end result. We often picture ourselves achieving our ultimate goal, whether it's mastering a skill, building a business, or reaching a personal milestone, and we believe that the path to success will be linear. We imagine a straight line between where we are now and where we want to be, but the reality is that progress is rarely so simple. Success is not achieved by taking a single, perfect step, but through a series of actions, some of which are small and others that may feel like setbacks. The journey is never a straight path, but that's what makes it meaningful. The idea that success is achieved in a straight line is a myth that can lead to frustration. It's natural to feel like we should be able to move quickly toward our goals, to check off each milestone, and reach the finish line with ease. But if we think about it realistically, very few achievements come without setbacks or detours.